Good evening, all. I, Sujata Raina, would like to extend a very warm welcome to Aspirations 2.0, a panel discussion on new age careers. We are privileged to have amongst us our esteemed panelists, Ms. Urmi Singh, Senior Director, Career Development Office, Ashoka University, Mr. Shawa Cheema, Deputy Manager Outreach, Ashoka University, Ms. Kala Anand, Director, Career Service Office, Kriya University, Ms. Meenu Arora, Assistant Director, Outreach, Kriya University, Ms. Trisha Bhattacharya, History and International Relations student at Ashoka University, and Ms. Dimpy Nandwani, Alumni, Ashoka University. We welcome you all. We are grateful that you could take out some time from your busy schedules to be here with us this evening. We are glad to have amongst us our school director, Ms. Sonia Gandhi Mehta, our middle school principal, Ms. Monica Bajaj, Principal Senior School, Ms. Manjula Shenoy, Ms. Neena Virmani, Head of Careers and College Advisory, and my colleagues from Middle School College Advisory team, Ms. Kavita Govil and Ms. Anamika Bhadula. Thank you all for gracing the occasion. I would now like to invite Ms. Mehta to address the gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Very good evening to all. I would like to first of all start by thanking all our panelists for taking the time out to join this event. I also believe very strongly that when you enjoy doing something, it's no longer work. And the reason why we have chosen to do this series of events is we want our students to actually think deeply and to choose their careers after having explored a lot of avenues. We want our students to choose their career according to their strengths, not really going by what their friends are doing or what others expect them to do. A lot of careers that our students today will be exposed to may not exist right now. And it is very important for students of today to actually look at skills and building their skills to their strengths rather than just focusing on getting their content inside their heads. Today, we live in a world that is also being automated very rapidly. And there are a lot of jobs that are slowly going to be taken over by machines, by robots. So we want our students to actually look at thinking very wide, looking at a lot of creative options, because where creativity comes into the picture, that is where it's not going to get automated so quickly, and robots will not be able to be as creative as us humans are. And therefore, even when we are talking about careers to our grade 8 students, it's not that we want them to look at choosing a career as early as being in grade 8 or being in grade 9. But we want you to start looking to see where your strengths are. What are the skills that you're good at? What do you enjoy doing? And as you go higher up in the grades, you will get more clarity about what you want to do. And possibly it'll be easier for you to think of the kind of careers that you want to follow through. It's not necessary that the career that you choose to do at the beginning of your professional life, you will stick to and you will continue doing for the rest of your life. You may decide to choose or change course after some years, and it's absolutely okay to do that. In fact, more and more there are people who are changing careers, changing streams, and that's perfectly all right. We just want our students to have the knowledge, and that is why we have put together such an eminent panel to share with our students what are the various areas they can look at. So thank you once again for joining us, and big thank you to all our panelists.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mehta. I would now request Ms. Bajaj to share a few words.
Thank you so much, Sujata, and a very good evening to all our students, parents, and staff members. They say that new is always better, and it holds true here, especially with the respect to the groundbreaking advancements that we witness all around. Decades ago, career professionals were limited to just very few chosen jobs, which has now expanded into numerous options today. The most sought after jobs today didn't even exist 5 years ago, and what might exist 10 years down the line is quite enthralling in itself. But what are these new age careers? New age careers are not a thing of this century or of that century. Time again, the world transforms, and with it comes new set of careers as the former ones become obsolete. Today, as we dream on what might be there in our career journey in the future, let's look at the careers that are paving the path for the transformation. I thank all the members of Ashoka and Kriya University for bringing this crucial information to our parents and students today. So without much ado, over to Aspirations 2.0.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Bajaj. I would now like to hand over to our young and enthusiastic moderators, Jim Yong Park, Jayant Mancharamani, and Twisha Gulati, who would be moderating the discussion. Over to you, Twisha.
I would now like to invite Ms. Urmi Singh to share insights on the new age careers. Ms. Urmi Singh is a Senior Director in the Career Development Office at Ashoka University. She is based in Bangalore and is largely responsible for outreach in Bangalore, Chennai, and Hyderabad. Ms. Urmi has more than 20 years of experience in training and development in the FMCG industry. She has worked across industries and has held pan-India roles in organizations such as HUL and Merico. Ms. Urmi holds a master's degree in industrial psychology from the University of Pune. Over to you, Ms. Urmi.
Thank you for that warm welcome. Thank you, Pathways, for having Ashoka University and for having me. As Tisha rightly said, I represent the Career Development Office at Ashoka. We are responsible for placements and internships at Ashoka. Since the topic is new age education, new age career, I beg your pardon, we thought it was relevant to bring to you what Ashoka University's placement department is experiencing along the way when it comes to different cohorts, different majors, specializations, and careers thereafter. I have a small presentation for everyone who's joined us, for students and parents and staff of Pathways. The presentation won't take too long. It's just a snapshot. After that, we will be happy to answer any questions that you have. So give me a moment to share my screen, please. Is the screen visible? Right.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Sure. Thank you. Liberal education. We hear a lot about liberal education, and oftentimes the question that comes to us is, so are you liberal arts, and therefore are you just a university that gives specialization in humanities and arts? And the answer to that is no. We specialize in humanities, yes, and sciences also. So Ashoka University, as it was founded about 11 years ago, this is in fact the 12th year running of the Young India Fellowship, started off with a few industry stalwarts who are very well placed in the industry. And they felt that there was a gap in what the education system was providing in India and what the industry, as in the job seekers, the job givers, wanted. And the gap was in the space of critical thinking, problem solving in ambiguous situations, communication skills, etc. While our graduates had the depth of knowledge from the undergrad school that they attended, very often the recruiters felt that the lack was largely in the three spaces that I just mentioned. And so the founders came together to, get a university in place which focused largely on liberal ways of delivery. So when we say liberal education, it's a style of delivery in classroom where a topic is discussed, researched, and then various points of view around the topic is taken care of, and then there is a conclusion, or then there is a point of view that is together created with the professors and the students. So this kind of a delivery is liberal education, and this could happen in classrooms which has humanities programs going on or sciences going on. In fact, just for information, although today we are largely focused on humanities, as that's what Pathways wanted. But just for information, Ashoka University has extremely powerful and robust sciences department. We are doing a lot of good work in areas of AI, ML in computer science. We have a robust physics department, life sciences, chemistry, and math. So just as the arts, humanities is important, so are the sciences. It's just a liberal way of education. We have 2,600 plus students from all over India and 25 countries from the world. And we do acquire world-class interdisciplinary education designed and led by globally recognized faculty. I'll just spend a minute on interdisciplinary education. We give a lot of emphasis on students choosing disciplines or choosing subjects which are dual. For instance, sometimes it's not just enough to do, say, computer science. Now, if you have knowledge of psychology along with computer science, then certainly you probably can code better. And that's what the new age careers want. It's not just about coding, but it's also about understanding the mind. And then if you can put two together and make it interdisciplinary in your approach, the final outcome comes out a lot robust, right? So Ashoka puts a lot of emphasis on interdisciplinary education. We have about 21 pure or interdisciplinary options, and we have 18 different disciplines as you can choose from your minor subjects. We have the foundation courses, we have the co-curriculars, and we have critical thinking seminar. Now, what is written on your right are mandated. All students of Ashoka must do the foundation courses. It's all available on our website, but just to tell you briefly, the foundation courses makes the foundation, as the name suggests, of any Ashoka graduate. And that is the base level, that is the axis of Ashoka grad that passes out from our campus. It includes a lot of interesting topics such as great books. We have a course on literature. We have a course on mind, as in psychology and behavior. We have a course on math. So no matter where you come from, which discipline you come from, whether you have a mathematical bent of mind or no, the foundation courses are a must, because in every aspect of life, whatever you choose, if you know a little bit of history or if you know a little bit of math, you are more well-rounded. And therefore, a little bit of all of this is taught in the foundation courses, making sure that your base, that your foundation is strong. And thereafter, you choose the majors to go on with your degree program. I just mentioned the pure majors in sciences. Those are written on the left side: biology, chemistry, computer science. We also have math, physics, and from humanities, we have economics, English, history, pol science, psychology, sociology, or anthropology. In the interdisciplinary majors, as you can see, computer science and entrepreneurship. Now, who would need this? All our startups that have students, with a computer science background, but with an entrepreneurial bent of mind. Those are the organizations that would hire students from computer science and entrepreneurial leadership. We have math and comp science, English and creative writing. Economics is extremely popular. We offer economics as a pure subject, or we integrate it with either finance, history, or pol science, philosophy, and economics. We have English with media studies and performing arts. We have English with creative writing, and English also goes as as a pure subject. Then we have the minors, where again we have creative writing, environmental studies, entrepreneurship, international relations, media studies, performing arts, visual arts, and Sanskrit studies. Right. Without getting deeper into the admission process, because today's forum is not about that, I will quickly take you through a couple of our subjects that are humanity-based, and then what are the best careers that we can expect from students who are pursuing those majors. The first up is English. Now, let me just take a break from the slides and let me just tell you how it works. When a recruiter comes to Ashoka, particularly, I have knowledge from Ashoka, so I'm going to talk Ashoka forward. The recruiter is looking for a talent. He is not particularly looking whether you're from English or economics or sociology or psychology. He's looking for talent, right? Unless the job description that they have given is completely subject-based, which could be, for instance, a coder's job, and then they would need only computer science students. But if that is not the case, then the recruiter largely is looking for talent. Within the talent, the skills are more important than the subject matter knowledge. When I say skills, I mean critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills. How do you analyze a problem? How do you come up with a solution that is out of the box? These are the skills. Are you communicating? Do you have communication skills that are, verbal communication, which are, excellent, or even written communication that are excellent? Because no communication is complete till the other person has understood. And therefore, to make the other person understand, your own communication skills got to be perfect, right? Therefore, communication skills is an important piece that the recruiters are looking for. The recruiters give us a job description. Our students read the job description. They could come from any cohort. They could be majors in history, majors in English, psychology, etc. If the job description is of interest to the student, then the student applies. And then the student goes through various levels of screening. Just as I speak, just today, we've had the first day of placement for the graduation batch of 2022, and we've had several consulting companies who came on our campus to hire students. What were they looking for? Were they particularly looking for pol science graduates or history graduates or English graduates? No. They were looking for students who are sharp, who are skilled, who can think on their feet, who can communicate well, who also know, how to balance out life, who also have interest beyond academics. So they're looking at an overall picture. They're looking at students who can crack a case study, who can come to solution, who can do a guesstimate. Now, when all of that is put in place, you're chosen for that job. The role could be anything. It's usually from consulting firms, it's that of an analyst. So you could have any subject. That's what I'm trying to say. But if you have the skill set to crack a role like that, then recruiters are more than happy to have you. With that background, let me just tell you what specifically an English grad could expect. Now, many of our English grads, after graduating, decide to go for higher studies, which could mean a postgraduate degree, that is MA, or they could go for maybe a MBA, but most of them do go for MA, those who are interested in higher ed. However, many of them, they feel that they could do a job for a year or two and then decide whether they want to do a master's program in English or not. Now, those who decide to go for a job, they are in demand because they are English majors, they write well, right? So they fit in very well in roles that demand content. And as you know, in today's age, content is a big player. Whether you're from e-commerce, so all the companies like Amazon, Swiggy, Zomato, there is a lot of content that is out there on their website, on all their communication to their clients, their sale, their whatever they do, all of that needs to be communicated to you and I. And somebody back end is creating that content, right? Therefore, the English majors fit in extremely well in content across industry. They fit in well in media, in any organizations that is media focused, in ad agencies, in publishing. So there is no dearth of jobs if jobs is what you're looking for an English major. You could be getting an offer from corporate. To your clients is there across industry and across sector. So English majors are in demand as far as recruitment is concerned. Last year, we had a very interesting recruiter who came from Bombay, and they create content for all the OTT platforms such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. It was not Netflix directly. It was that company that creates content for such companies. And, for roles like that, again, English major fits in very, very well. History. So the department offers the history undergraduate research a thesis or a project opportunity, which is an optional thesis, or it's an optional sort of arrangement. And students can learn application of knowledge regarding the discipline by undertaking independent inquiry on the historical theme that they are interested in. Again, what we have seen from the history department is that most of the students are interested in higher education. They might be also interested in international relations. So a lot of students do history and IR as an international relation. Some of them do history and economics. History is a subject that takes you back in time. And while you're going back in time, you're also understanding behaviors that evolved along the time. You're understanding financial behavior, you're understanding the mind, you're understanding how civilizations work, you're understanding how governments were formed. So history is a subject which is very broad-based, giving you an understanding on how things got developed and how we reached where we are today. So it gives a variety of perspectives. And as you're learning in a liberal style of delivery, there is a lot to understand how people function, right? And because you understand how people function, then that same understanding you can take to the corporate world, because that's where you need a different perspective to understand a problem. What happens in a corporate world is you have a problem, you need to understand the problem, give various solutions, and the best solution get the results. Now, if you have studied history and if you're interested in a corporate kind of a job, then you can pick on various perspectives and bring it back to the job place. So history gives a lot of insight, and it skills your mind to understand insights. We've had companies from the world of fintech, startups, consulting, again, who come and take our history students. And you may be amused to know that how does a history student does well in a role of an analytic? Well, they do. So does an eco student. And that's again because of they have understood the ways people have thought in the past, and their mind is therefore skilled to analyze, and that kind of analytical behaviors can be then duplicated in the workforce. Psychology, I'm myself a grad in psychology. It's my pet topic. I can go on and on about psychology. There's so much to do in psychology. You can move on to do a master's in psychology. When you do a master's in psychology, you can choose whether you want to do clinical psychology, or you want to do industrial psychology, or you want to do educational psychology. There are various ways of specializing in psychology. At the UG level, you do a generic psychology. And with that degree of general psychology, you fit in beautifully into various new age career across industry again. Psychologists understand mind, they understand behavior. Who is a consumer? Consumer is you and me. We have a mind, we have a behavior. Now, for instance, if I launch a soap in my company, I may want to understand what the consumer is thinking about that soap. Is the soap doing good? Is the soap not doing good? Could the soap have been better, or is it already very good? Now, if I know a little bit of psychology, and if I am a degree holder in psychology, I could get deeper insights into the mind of the consumer to get these answers about my soap, right? So a psychologist fits in very well to understand brands, to understand markets, to understand the research that was done on the market, to get an insight, and then come up with a story from the consumer so that that could be taken to the company, and that could be used to make the product more powerful. We've had psychology graduates, going to organizations that are big, that are, FMCG companies. When I say FMCG, I mean fast moving consumer goods, the kinds that make your toothpaste and soaps. So basically they do very well in sales, in marketing, in market research, in analytics, in media, in PR, in advertising. The scope is unlimited, right? Again, in consulting, so the consulting organizations really don't care what kind of major you have. All they want to know is how can you analyze, how well can you crack a case, how well can you guess a case, and how well can you produce in a manner that is sharp and precise. Economics is the maybe the one of the biggest class of Ashoka. It's a sought after subject. A lot of students take economics. It's either pure economics or economics with finance, or Paul Science, philosophy, economics as an integrated course, or economics and history. Very proud to say that our economics department is also doing extremely well in college. And as of now, in research output, we are ahead of Delhi School of Economics or Madras School of Economics. The reason I'm bringing this out right now here is just to tell you the amount of work that we're doing in research that only makes our graduates extremely skilled to fit into the corporate world, whether it is in roles such as, investment roles or pure banking roles, analyst roles. Our economic students are fitting in very well in the fintech world, in the other startups, in big corporates, development sector, social sector, media, etc. Again, economics is a hot topic, and we have many organizations that come and hire economics graduates in roles like business analyst, risk analyst, credit analyst, lending and investment analyst, financial advisors, strategy and operations, a lot of names. But yeah, we have the economic students doing quite well in our college. So those are the 4 subjects that we are covering today. We are happy to take any questions, and if you have anything, feel free to ask away. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those insights, Ms. Urmi. I would now like to invite Mr. Shawa Cheema to share his thoughts on New Age careers. Mr. Shawa Cheema is the Deputy Manager of Outreach Operations for Ashoka University. He is a Master of Financial Management and Accounting from Australia, where he traveled, worked, and studied for 5 years. Prior to that, he finished his graduation from Sri Ram College of Commerce, Delhi University. He joined Ashoka in January 2020 after coming back to India, and he currently works with the outreach team as the Deputy Manager. Welcome, Mr. Cheema. Over to you.
Thank you, and thanks, Urmi ma'am, for that presentation as well. I'm sure it enlightened a lot of people out here. So I don't have much to say, to be honest, since my job is usually outreach, and there's nothing to do today as such. Just reiterating on everything that's been said, from the director to the principal to Miss Urmi as well. This is something I definitely say to a lot of students and applicants I interact with, that follow your passion, let your passion be the guiding factor. Don't look at subjects as something that will drive your career. Career is a long process. So for example, just taking my example as well, I started off with my BCom honors, from SRCC, moving on to Masters in Finance and Accounts. And now I work at the outreach. So I do everything except for finance and accounts. So your careers will change with your interest, and you keep realizing your interest more and more. Over here at Ashoka, I feel the main aim is to just start that process a little early, give students that responsibility to start making their decisions, giving them that sort of freedom, at the campus level to start picking up your subjects, something that I never had at the undergrad level. And a lot of traditional universities don't offer that still. So moving that, that's a very good thing. I think that kind of will start the process a lot early for the students. So much so with the NEP coming through, even at the school level for that matter. So by the time when you're out of the university, it should not kind of like Urmi ma'am said, your degree will not decide what jobs you get. It's your skills that you acquire at the university level. So if you get those skills that help you to engage better, to think better, to communicate better, I think that process really helps out in the long run when it comes to just understanding yourself and then, getting the best out of yourself. So with that, I think we can take on some questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Cheema. I would now like to open the floor for questions. I would like to share here that the following questions have been carefully curated and gathered from the students of MYP3 to MYP5.
Thank you, Trisha. For students who are looking to pursue majors in subjects like economics, what kind of placements can we look at?
During the presentation, you mentioned about English and performing arts. Could you please elaborate on the subject domain and the opportunities available?
Can I take the first question first?
Yes, Ms. Urmi.
And that was with regards to economics, right? Right. As I already mentioned, economics is a subject that's popular in Ashoka University. And as we place our students, what we also understand that it's gaining a lot of popularity amongst the recruiters also. As we are getting into this new age, there is a lot of work that is required in terms of analysis. Your strength in math and statistics got to be strong if you have to do work around analytics. And because analytics is such a hot, if I may use the word, new age career, the economic graduates are in high demand. The kind of roles that you can expect after doing your undergrad in economics could be plenty. It could be a management trainee. It could be a risk analyst, a credit analyst. So all kinds of analysts, lending and investment analyst. It could also be a EA, as an executive assistant to senior leaders or to CEOs. Because what does that mean? That means you're shadowing the CEO, you're helping him think strategically, you're helping him put the analytic piece together, and you're helping him to communicate that further. So you could be an executive assistant to the CEO, you could be a financial advisor, or if you are really not too inclined to do a finance and economics kind of a role, then you could even opt out and go in for maybe a more generalist role and go into, say, a learning and development role or a training role. So economics graduate has nothing to worry, because there's just a lot of students from economics who are very well placed across industry. We have organizations like all the banks, Airtel Payment Banks, Deutsche Bank, Zander Finance, American Express, Axis Bank, Clicks Capital, etc., coming and hiring our students from the economics background. What was the second question? Could you please repeat that?
Yes. During the presentation, you mentioned about English and performing arts. Could you please elaborate on the subject domain and the opportunities available?
Right. So English and performing arts would essentially mean English major and a minor in performing arts. Performing arts is, where the students learn history of various dance forms or theater or singing, music, etc. With that, when you have knowledge of English, like I previously mentioned through my slides, you could fit in well in organizations that are developing content, because you have the knack to write and you understand performing arts also. And therefore, you can put both these together and create a career for yourself. Now, this would be too direct an impact of English and performing arts. If that is not what you want, then again, like I said before, it's the skill that matters and not the subject or the domain knowledge. So you could fit in anywhere, but if you're really looking for the subject specific role, then that's where your chances are, where you're developing content for various platforms and various creative organizations. I hope I could answer that.
Yes, Ms. Urmi. So how relevant is it to look at majors when choosing career paths?
It is relevant. It's not irrelevant at all. It's extremely relevant. How soon you can do it also is, at Ashoka, we give you 1.5 semesters to think about which major you want to take. What happens in our Indian schooling system is that you go purely science or you go purely humanities. What if a student likes physics and history both? And then it's so hard for him to drop out one because he has the passion for both. Therefore, when you come to college, when you come to Ashoka, you have the option of exploring various subjects. It could be from humanities, it could be from sciences. And then, depending on what your experience has been, depending on what your aspiration is, you can then pick your major that is closest to your passion and to your aspiration. Everyone has some sort of an idea, right? For instance, some students just don't want to do a particular subject and maybe just completely passionate about something else. However, he may want to explore a little more. So it is extremely relevant, but take your time, do it slowly. There is no rush, and do not pick a subject, for instance, economics or computer science, just because that's the demand and just because that's what the recruiters want. I repeat, recruiters want students who are sharp. You could be any major. Go to a subject that makes you internally happy and that you are good at. Last year we were sending a couple of our students for internship, and one of our students asked what should I do as a something. He had some very heavy question he had asked us, and how could he make himself better at a particular field. I don't remember that. And we had a senior person who was addressing them, and she said, you know what, at your level, even if your job is to make a cup of coffee, make sure that you make the best coffee. So the point I'm trying to make is, do not bother too much about your subject, but make sure to take a subject which actually gives you happiness. Don't go just because it's popular.
Thank you so much, Ms. Singh and Mr. Cheema. I now invite Jim Yong Park to introduce our next set of panelists.
Thank you, Trisha. We are pleased to have amongst us Ms. Trisha Bhattacharya. She's a third-year History and International Relations student at Ashoka University. And Ms. Dimpi Nandwani. Ms. Dimpi is a recent Ashoka graduate from the batch of 2021. She completed her majors in psychology and minors in entrepreneurship and performing arts. Currently, she's working at Rapido, an online mobility platform, as an associate product manager. Having studied psychology and entrepreneurship, she aims at integrating these two fields to understand and solve real-world customer problems in any business setting. Along with this, she's a trained classical dancer and has completed her graduation in Bharatnatyam. Thank you both for joining us today. I will now request Ms. Trisha to share her experiences with us.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to Pathways for having me. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. It's really nice to be here in a place where I was a few years ago when I was looking to.
Sorry to interrupt, Trisha, but we cannot hear you very well. At least I can't.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Trisha, you might want to talk in the mic.
Yes.
Is
Just
it
lift up your
now?
mic.
Hello.
Better.
Okay. Please let me know if I'm not audible at any point.
Just keep the mic near your mouth. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
I was saying it's really nice to be in a place where I was a few years ago.
Sorry, Trisha, I think your voice has trailed off again.
Okay, can you give me a second to just reconnect?
It starts with we can hear you, and then it just trails off to not being able to hear you at all.
Okay, can you give me a minute to reconnect again then?
Trisha, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Much better.
Okay. So sorry about this. I'm not sure what went wrong. I was just saying that it's very nice to be in a place where I was a few years ago when I was looking into colleges to go after school. So just like a short intro as to how I came to Ashoka, because I think that's very important to my journey here. I was someone who was very indecisive. I still am about what I wanted to do. So as Urmi ma'am was saying that Ashoka gives you the opportunity to decide later on as to what you would like to graduate with, which is why I looked into Ashoka before I gave my boards. I filled in the application form, and at that point of time, I was studying science in school, and I came in thinking I would do biology. And after I submitted my application, I got an offer letter that told me I just need to pass my boards. And I was so ecstatic that I never filled out college forms for any other place. Ashoka was the only place I ever applied to. And once I graduated, I took a campus tour and I went with my father to see the campus. And it's only 25 acres, but somehow it felt like that would be a place that I would really enjoy. And so in the first semester, you only do foundation courses, and it's new people, new environment, and you're studying things that you might not have studied before, so it can be a little daunting. But I was really, really happy with the people I met and my professors. And one of the foundation courses that I took in my first semester was this one called Great Books, which was a history-based foundation course. And since I went in thinking I would do biology, in my second semester, I did take intro courses to biology. But just I had this inkling in the back of my mind. I was like, I really liked that history course. And history was something I never liked in high school. But I was like, let's try. And I took a intro to history course. So this completes 2 years, 2 semesters of at Ashoka, and I ended up choosing history as my major after my first year, after 2 semesters. So I think this is like a example right here and now, someone who went in thinking they would do one thing and came out with something else. And I owe it all to my professor for Great Books, who taught me that history could be so much more than what I had supposed it was in our rote learning system that is so prevalent in India. And ever since then, I have taken different courses, and ultimately, I also took some courses for international relations, which I loved, which is why I'm now doing an interdisciplinary major in history and international relations. And I think one of the biggest things that Ashoka does with its courses is gives you so much space to do stuff outside of the course curriculum that even if you're studying history, I would find connections with a class in an environmental studies class that I was doing for an FC. And every semester, I would have such connections across classes, across disciplines, which I think is very fascinating coming from an Indian school system which never really gave me something like that. Um, and just um, since I was asked about this, I would also like to talk about the other things on campus that enriched my experience. Sadly, I don't have access to them anymore since everything is online. But for the year and a half, just a bit above a year and a half that I spent on campus, I think one of my favorite things was the fact that we had two people rooming together, and my roommates were some of my closest friends, and we had great discussions. You have common rooms in every building and every residence, and you study together, you work together. Just the environment of peer learning, whether you're studying in the library or you're studying in your study rooms, is something that I really, really enjoy and I really miss right now studying from home. Um, the other things that I really, really liked were our clubs and societies, which I was part of quite a few many. Um, in fact, Dimpy and I were teammates on our dance team called Abhinaya. That's how we know each other. I was also part of the feminist collective on campus, the History Society, and dabbled in a few other things here and there just to try it out. But we have a wide range, whether it's music and theater or art, and all sorts of sports clubs. Then you'll have astronomy, you have anime, just like there's a baking club. So I feel like since we're a little removed from Delhi itself, it's a very vibrant campus life if you're there, and it offers you so much to do apart from studying that you never get time to feel bored, I feel like. So even if it's something academic related that you would like to do, we have very regular talks by eminent people. So while we were on campus, people would come in to give these talks, and sometimes you wouldn't find a seat, whether it was in a room or the auditorium. Now our talks take place online, but I feel like they're a great source of information and just to like broaden your horizon. And that's something that I really enjoyed. People would rush during your meal hours to go to these talks. Um, the other thing that was part of my experience that was that I was a campus tour guide when I was on campus. So a lot of my job and in that role was what I'm doing now, but in person. So parents and students would come in and they would ask questions. I would lead them around. I would show them all the facilities that are available on campus, from our mess to our academic blocks to our science labs, our sports block and our facilities there, the gym, the courts, take them around. They would ask lots of questions. And since that isn't really possible now, everything we do is on webinars like this. So I've taken quite a few for Ashoka's outreach team itself. And I think that a campus tour or just exploring what all Ashoka can offer is a really great way to get to know life at Ashoka. So I think that's me with my experience. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. For now, I would like Dimpy to take on and speak about life after Ashoka and placements.
Thank you, Ms. Trisha. Ms. Dimpy, since you've seen the entire cycle of a curious and inquisitive teenager to a college aspirant followed by a rigorous placement process, I would now request you to share your journey with us.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. I am Dimpy, and I graduated recently from Ashoka in the month of May 2021. I did my 3 years of undergraduate from Ashoka. I did my majors in psychology and minors in entrepreneurship and performing arts. And post that, I also pursued 4th year, which is Ashoka Scholar Program, a diploma course I did in psychology. And I think currently I'm working at Rapido. Rapido is India's largest bike taxi startup. I work in their product team. So basically the product is their app. So I work on the features, the new releases, and all the stuff related to the product, which is our app. I think before I start, I would just want to point out one thing. Like, I know a lot of you might have a tons of questions going in your head currently, and you might be in dilemma. What do you want to do? Which subject do you want to choose? Which career path do you want to take? And let me assure you that it's completely all right to feel in certain way. Even a few months back, I was on the other side. I had so many questions. I wasn't even clear what career I was graduating and I wasn't clear which career path do I want to take. So I would just like to say it's absolutely all right to feel in this way, given your age group, and eventually you would be able to figure out things. So I think it started in my 11th and 12th. I had the subject called legal studies. And at that time, I was really excited and passionate about law. And I thought I would want to build my career around law. But as soon as my CLAT exam was coming in, I completely lost interest into law. Then I thought maybe political science is something that I enjoyed in my school. I would want to do my undergraduate in political science. And soon after my 12th grade, I got admission into both Delhi University and Ashoka. I was in dilemma between both of these colleges, but since Ashoka was starting a month later than Delhi University, I thought maybe I could experience and spend 1 month at Delhi University and see which place do I like better. So I went to Delhi University, and on the first day I had to declare my majors. I did political science because that's something I enjoyed in my school as well. But after 1 month, I took transfer to Ashoka University. Even though the risks were high going to Ashoka University at that time, specifically because it was a very, very new university. But after talking to a lot of faculties there, a lot of seniors there, I was assured that this is a more suitable choice for me, given my interest. So after 1 month, I made a switch from Delhi University to Ashoka. And again, I came with a mindset that I enjoyed political science. I want to do political science itself. But I think here comes the magic of liberal education. You just don't have to declare your majors on the first day. You have time. You have the opportunity to explore things. I studied subjects that I didn't had opportunity to study in my school. I was from a humanities background, and I didn't had access to science courses like maths, computer sciences. So in my first year, I just took introductory courses. I studied subjects like English, sociology, science, maths, computer science. And I sat in one of those introductory classes of psychology. And fortunately, the subject made me very, very much interested. Just the introductory class, I wanted to switch my field from political science to psychology now. And I think that's the beauty of studying in a liberal arts setting. You have the opportunity to explore first and then take a decision. I started studying psychology, and at that time I was just studying because I really enjoyed it. I had absolutely no idea what does the field look like, what is the scope, what would be the scope after 3 years. But at that time I was just enjoying studying the subject. And I still remember whenever I used to come back home from my college, my parents used to ask, you would be graduating soon, what do you want to do in psychology? Talk to your peers, talk to your faculty. And I was really confused. I was enjoying that time, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in my career in psychology. So then I started talking to a lot of my faculties, a lot of my seniors who graduated from psychology background. And I also hunted people on LinkedIn who have done their majors in psychology. I was trying to see what are the options. And given that psychology is such a new field in an Indian setting, it is very difficult to discover what options are available to you. So at that time, I think one thing that helped me figure out things is to do internships. Unless you do things, you won't get what you really want to do in life. And in my 4 years at Ashoka, I don't even remember a month in which I hadn't done any internship. Maybe my academics were going on, or we had summer vacations. I was continuously doing internships. And it's important to do internships in different domains with different titles, because it gives you exposure. It gives you clarity of what do you actually like and what do you don't like, what do you don't want to pursue a future in. And since I was studying psychology and entrepreneurship, I wanted to integrate these two fields. And again, this is the magic of studying in Ashoka. You can study multiple subjects and combine them. I wanted to apply psychology in a business setting to be able to understand consumers, because consumers are at the core of every business, be it a toothpaste business or a cinema. Consumers are the core of every business. And if you understand your consumers, you're able to solve half of the problems. So I wanted to apply psychology in a business setting. And as I was doing internships, I got this one internship from Rapido. And while working there, I thought it's a perfect opportunity for me because it's a consumer-centric business, and I get to apply psychology in the product when I'm developing the product, their app. But also, I think I'm just talking about the good phase. I also was very, very skeptical to work there, since all my colleagues there and all my managers were coming from either tech background or business background, and that too from very elite colleges like IITs and IIMs in India. And I, on the other side, was coming from a liberal arts background. So I was quite skeptical whether I would be able to work with a tech-related product, because I haven't had much exposure with them. I was not very used to the tech terminologies. But I think having worked for an year almost at Rapido, one thing I can assure you, the technical aspects of the job you would be able to learn. If not in a week, you would definitely be able to learn them in a month's period. But the things that you need to start practicing from right now are the soft skills, and specifically communications and critical thinkings. These are the things that you only and only are able to learn through a lot of practice. And I think I'm very fortunate to have got this opportunity to be able to use and enhance my communication skills, my writing, my thinking skills, my critical skills, because these are the skills that help you in any job, no matter whichever domain you enter, no matter whichever job title you have. If you have these skills, you would be able to learn any job. And I, being from a humanities background, entered completely technical field, and I feel satisfied with my job because I am confident with the skills I've got. And eventually I was able to learn the technical aspects. And so just to conclude everything, as mentioned in the starting also, the careers are very, very rapidly changing. The careers that were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or at our parents' age have been completely dismissed now. And you have the talent, you have the capability to find your own career. My job role of psychology plus entrepreneurship was never defined. It is so vague that I want to apply psychology in a business setting or in an entrepreneurial world. You have the opportunity to create your space, your job, but just be confident and have a strong core skill set of communications and writing and thinking. And yes, I think I know again you will have a lot of questions, but give it some time. Just do keep doing a lot of internships, because in the end, internships is that something that gives you a practical experience. You know what you like, what you don't like, and just gives you a trail. And have confidence in yourself. The times are changing. People are very much open to including humanities students, even in a tech background. So just be confident with your skill set and just be passionate about what you want to do. Yeah, I think that's the end of my experience, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have now or later as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dimpy. I would now like to open the floor for questions.
So either Ms. Trisha or Ms. Dimpy could answer this question. So during the pandemic, most of us were online. So do you think being online affected your decision when it came to declaring your majors?
Should I take that, Dimpy? Okay. So for me, I had already declared my major before the pandemic started. So I luckily got to experience a lot of things in campus that helped me decide. But from what I have experienced from my online classes, I would say you still get a lot of, at least academic wise, you still get a lot of exposure to all the different fields. So you're still free to do as many different subjects as you would like. You still get 3 semesters to decide. And as DP was saying, you can take multiple different sorts of foundation courses, intro courses. And I mean, that's the basic factor that affects your decision making for your major. So for me, I would say I don't think going online would make a difference to how you view your major. But for certain cases, it might. If maybe for a performing arts major, let's say for a minor, I mean, doing it in person is definitely better. So for things like that, there might be small changes. But otherwise, mostly for academic subjects, I would say it's still the same. If Dimpy has something to add.
Even I declared my majors before, but just I had the experience of online classes, and the faculty and the teaching fellows do their best to replicate the model, the offline model online. We had the similar group discussions, we had the similar kind of, and the level of engagement. So I think it shouldn't be a problem if it's online or offline. The faculty tries really hard and they are able to replicate the model, and you have the space to explore the different subjects. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Nandwani and Ms. Bhattacharya. I would now like to invite Ms. Kala Anand and Ms. Meenu Arora, Assistant Director Outreach at Kriya University. Ms. Kala Anand comes with significant education industry experience, working at strategic roles at major international private education companies and government organizations. Through her 15-year senior professional tenure, she has provided advisory services to international universities, government agencies, enabling them to expand their global footprint. Ms. Kala Anand holds an MBA from SP Jain Institute of Management and Research and a professional diploma in digital marketing from DMI Ireland. Ms. Meenu Arora is a counseling psychologist with over 23 years of experience. She is currently associated with Kriya University and has also been an educationist. She has taught psychology and has been involved in social emotional, educational, career and college counseling in India as well as abroad. She has conducted workshops for teachers, students, parents, and has also coordinated with CBSE for differently able students. Thank you both for joining us. Over to you, Ms. Kala Anand.
Thank you very much, Jain, and a wonderful evening to everybody at Pathways and my colleagues from Ashoka who did a fabulous job setting the context. Very wonderful to be here, and a special hello to Ms. Nina Virmani, one of the veteran counselors, and I have very fond memories of working with me, Nina as well. So thank you everyone for this. We're going to use the 11 minutes that we've been clearly kind of indicated to make this very, very close to the topic that we're discussing today, which is new age careers. What is happening? How do you young students entering into the workforce, how do you look at the careers of the future? And hence, how does that kind of to some extent decide what you want to study? So in some sense, can we give you some understanding of what lies beyond? So you take a better decision of what lies next, right? I'm going to share my screen. I do have a very short presentation. It says host has disabled participant screen sharing. So can somebody just quickly help me share my screen? Could I get access?
Yes, ma'am. You have the access here.
Yes, got it now. Thank you. Is that visible now? Are we good?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Tisha. So we are going to talk about new age careers. Now, to understand how careers are shaping, I want to really leave you with this very important context in terms of understanding what about the world is changing. So you have a sense of how careers are going to change in this new world order, right? So what is really changing? From a real outer space, if you actually look at what and how the world connects, it all looks like these icons which are coming together. Now, let's go a little deeper to understand. And if any of you are there interested in such models, this is one of the classic models from the International Futures Party Center. An amazing thing is happening. For a long time, we used to look at everything in silos. We used to look at an issue of health, very different from agriculture, very different from energy, very different from technology. But what is really happening is there is immense cross connections that's happening with these, what we call as the global systems, right? So today, if you are going to study population, you can't ignore health. If you're studying health, you can't ignore agriculture. If you're studying agriculture, you can't ignore technology. Some reasons these are coming together very closely. And if you actually extrapolate that to futuristically, what is really happening in the world is some of this angles of climate change, what's happening around governance, global politics, energy is further dividing into water. The crisscrosses are going to get more dynamic, right? So considering these crisscrosses are getting very dynamic, the way we look at careers to work in this dynamic setting is also going to change. And that's what we're going to quickly explore today. As I said, this is the International Futures model. And so the interconnectedness is really what is going to rule every career of the future. Some of these definitions are also changing, right? Somebody talked about new careers are emerging, some becoming obsolete. But what is really interesting, let me give you 2-3 interesting things that's happening. Clusters of careers are emerging. So careers are no longer in terms of tasks, a single job is not a career. Clusters are emerging. So if you start to do one task, there is a good chance you're going to work in clusters of jobs. Let's look at clusters of, let's say, tech jobs, right? There was a time when we were going to talk about, everything was really related to software development or pretty much internet security. That language has changed. The clusters of tech jobs, right? The way that data sciences sits under also technology, that something like medical informatics also sits under technology, user-centric design also sits under technology. So what is changing about this? The clusters are changing, that you could have technology as the base, but you could pretty much be technology with mathematics for data science, technology with design for something else, technology with psychology, or technology with education for instructional design. So things are changing as far as this cluster is concerned. Another exciting cluster that's growing is really the cluster of green jobs. You saw in that earlier diagram I told you, water, energy, climate change, these are becoming important corners of what we're going to define businesses of the future. The green jobs is a very exciting cluster that's emerging. Students interested in geography, right? I know that's one of your interests. Green jobs is an exciting cluster that's building. And again, if you see in the green jobs cluster, it's not everything is about climate change, right? We talk about natural resources. What is energy analysis? It's environment and economics, right? What's green consulting? What's environmental health? It's biology with environment, correct? So you again begin to see how one subject is beginning to interface. Conservation science, right? Again, environment to a great extent of biology and some level of botany, all of that you're learning. So the green jobs cluster is again all encompassing, and that is growing as well. Let's look at the finance job clusters. Gone were the days when finance job was only banking. It's changed tremendously to include, let's say, if you're talking about risk, again, if you're talking risk in finance, let's say something like insurance, right? Day before you saw one of the biggest jobs that's coming up in insurance is about climate risk assessment. When I have to give insurance to somebody living in Delhi who's more exposed to pollution versus somebody living, in another part of the country who has lesser risk to pollution and hence has lesser health problems, lesser asthmatic problems. Again, you have an interface where something like finance is again talking with mathematics, it's talking with risk, it's talking with technology. Today, some of the largest unicorns of the country are in digital payments. You no longer go to a bank to pay, you no longer go to an ATM, you carry everything on your phone. Things are changing from terms of the technology interface with finance. And finally, one of the biggest clusters that's emerging is the health jobs cluster. Again, there was a time when if any of you there liked, let's say, biology or any of the pure sciences, somebody told you, yeah, just become a doctor, and not anymore. Look at the cluster of jobs that are emerging if you really have your heart in something like health, right? Right from sports medicine to a mental health practitioner, or if you wanted to become a human resources practitioner, or a psychologist, a psychotherapist, and psychologist, forensic psychologist. Within this quadrant that we're seeing today, you're again seeing health as well as medical information, both interacting. I hope my internet is still going strong. I really want to highlight on a couple of these slides for you. Really some exciting new career options are forming there, and disciplines are coming together to make it happen, right? Psychology and social studies is really coming together when it comes to anything to do with community psychology, organization, if you're trying to create solutions for a certain group of people. Economics and environment is coming together in areas of energy, conservation, sustainability. The more you talk that language, these two disciplines are coming together. Computer science is actively coming together with philosophy. Remember, AI cannot survive without philosophy, right? Philosophy is the ethics of what are you designing, who are you designing for? So we can't just let techies design AI solutions. Techies are working with philosophers in designing, high-end AI. So the whole concept of driverless cars has got a huge amount of AI ethicists actually working on it. History and politics is coming together and everywhere where we are talking about public policy, right? So in the times of COVID, we've seen this even more rampant, where you want a certain policy, so you want a certain policy embedded within the society. You need to understand the history of the people. What do they look at? And politics becomes an important, because again, what's the state politics versus the national politics? What is geopolitics? All of that as we look at policy going beyond a territory. Biological sciences, right? So if you really like biology and mathematics, how are they again coming together? Bioinformatics is such a huge space. Everything that we've done in the last 18 months around the epidemiology around COVID has hugely relied on bioinformatics and health informatics. Exciting English and computer science. Who would have thought this would come together? Right? Now, you might have an absolute love for English and somebody telling you there is really no future in the tech space. Not really. Everything that the little remote that today you talk and you want to watch a Netflix something, you talk into it, that is linguists working with techies. When you type into Google that it autocorrects your grammar, it prompts you, that is again linguists working with techies. That you're able to communicate in multiple languages, there again is where language and technology coming together. Politics and business studies is coming together, and economic diplomacy, economics and psychology is coming together. The more that we are talking about, let's say, behavioral finance and how markets are changing and behaving, that's a very strong study of understanding money, but also how groups of people spend money. What is their risk appetite? And, these are some of the areas. This is again my final set of combinations. I can go on with a lot of combinations, but I'm trying to give you a sense of where some of these exciting careers are coming. Energy research definitely needs chemistry and social studies to work together. Completely random subjects, they're coming together very actively, right? So you need chemists and you also need social research scientists, but it would be fantastic if we actually had social study chemists who understand societies, right? The way physics is coming together again with computer science or social studies and business studies, economics and visual arts. There could not be a better time for anybody in the art space. If you're really looking at the whole space of the creative industries, right? Kind of investment that is growing. Everything is so content driven. We've seen again in the last 18 months how they create content. Advertising has become very content engagement. Everything that organizations do is about engaging audience in visual content, right? So how do you, then it's not just important that you have creative people, you must have creative people who understand business. And you can't just have business people working in creative industries, they should be able to understand, get a sense of creativity as well, right? So some of these exciting new niches are actually coming. And this is where I really want to present what's called the new age career matrix. A lot is changing and these exciting niches are actually forming, right? Gone was the time when we really used to just talk medicine and engineering and chartered accountant, right? We're beginning to see digital marketing, we're beginning to see analytics. Agribusiness is really going to be the front line in terms of the food business, is going to be one of the largest sector, right? In the next 3 years, I think it's going to give nearly close to 9 million is the employment projected just in the agriculture area. And what is even more exciting, which I want to leave with you students, is how they cross connect, right? The important thing is, suppose you're a person who's very excited in agriculture. The fact is you can work in e-commerce of agriculture, which means everything that you buy and sell online, or you could be working in AI of agriculture, which is like if you wanted to work in Google, which has got its huge investment in artificial intelligence in agriculture, which is what kind of soil works, how do you use drones for seeding, how do you look at optimizing crop, all that is AI, right? And health and agriculture connect. And there is also the horizontal connection, right? As far as that is concerned, your agriculture is also nutrition. The more we are moving into organic food, how does food reach people who don't get access to food? Sports and wellness, again, connecting back to agriculture, and consumer analytics. Look at all these little niches, how gaming is growing, how policy is growing. And these all niches will require a completely different mindset of new graduates. And what are these graduates? These are graduates who are going to have a very strong sense of content. Don't ever lose that you need to have depth in one subject. You definitely need to know your economics. You need to know your mathematics. You need to know your geography and all of that. But what is exciting is the context is much more broader. So today you can study economics, but apply it to 10 different industries. And if you want to really apply economics in the health industry, you can then pick economics and biology because you have a better context of the health industry. You want to apply economics in the creative industries, pick economics with some sort of arts, right? So it's really about how, as graduates, you don't just think about content, but how do you expand this context so that you're able to get access to all these niches we're going to talk about. The employer outlook is also changing. So this is not just what I'm saying. I really want you to, hear some of these people. We regularly host a lot of speakers at CREA. Every week we have a industry leader. So advertising is no longer about writing sleek copy. It's about being authentic. And to be authentic, advertising is recruiting more psychology graduates. Finance is recruiting more history graduates. And this is the biggest surprise that's actually coming, because students of history have a very strong integrity in the way in which that they present facts. And finance industry wants graduates with highest level of integrity as well, right? Artificial intelligence is going to need philosophers and lawyers and psychologists. It's not just techies, right? And on the same, somebody from Microsoft actually says that we need creative people to work together with techies. At Kriya, some of our students are working on one of the biggest solutions that IBM is building in AI. And it is our students who are working with engineering graduates. The engineering students are creating the technology solution, but the logic to it comes from students at Kriya, who understand societies, who understand creativity, who understand ethics, right? So that's really where I think this is coming together. And I want to, in this context, very briefly, everything is on our website, so I'm really not going to talk about our courses, but what I want to talk about is what do we mean as foundational skills that you need irrespective of where. That's what the context I spoke about. The content you can get from academic. As you get more and more of the foundational skills, you'll be able to apply more context. So having a sense of looking at problems through different cultures, scientific reasoning, ethics, design thinking, very strong communication, these form what we call the foundation year at Kriya. And these are not just at the first year, they continue through your 3 years. But we think that these are very important, so they expand the career options for you as you progress. There was one question in the brief that I got saying, how do we prepare graduates? Without going too much into it, there's many things that we do, whether that is strong research internships, industry internships, social impact internships, work study programs, summer abroad programs, everything. So the moment a student comes in, our job in the Career Services Office is to piece together all these opportunities, and each one adds a little bit. So the best way to prepare yourself for careers is really to immerse yourself in real opportunities, pick up some of the skills that they actually will give you, and then you're much better prepared for some of these, cutting edge new age careers. This is just a slide of some of our students. Again, you have one batch that is doing many things, right? You have Sahil, who's actually a strategy intern with London and Partners. He just finished his internships. Or Chirag, who's working in a digital marketing firm. Or Arnav, who put together the entire new joinee process for a company called DHL. Anuj, who worked with Stray Factory, which is a cutting-edge film company, on doing the film research for, they have worked on a film for to look at environmental impact of burning crops. Anuj did the background research on something like that. Or Manvi, who worked in technology, or Smriti, who worked for a firm in Germany this summer. So again, you have a batch of same students, but they're all doing different things and different roles. And what is important is that a student of psychology shares the class with a student of economics and starts to get to understand a problem from their perspective. So again, what I think the whole concept of a liberal arts education encourages you is this multiple perspectives. So if you want to be working as a psychologist, would you rather be in a class full of students who are studying psychology, or would you rather be in a class where somebody brings in perspective economics, somebody brings in environment, somebody talks sociology, somebody talks politics? And those perspectives are, and you don't have to study the 10 subjects, but those perspectives are very important. So you become a better psychologist than studying in a class full of psychologists, right? So that's really how you look at some of these careers and how they are shaping. So I'll just leave you my last slide with a few important career mantras if you're really interested in futuristic careers, is the fact that careers are no longer in silos. They're constantly evolving and they're interweaving. So some, Urmi did say that it's not, I think Sonali first, when she started off, actually said that you're not going to stick to the same career. So it's going to keep moving. Don't be, just be prepared to career ready, be task ready. Irrespective of the career you choose, the domains you choose, be task ready. Disciplines by themselves don't lead to jobs. Discipline skills do. Psychology teaches you to think in a certain way. Economics teaches you to think in a certain way. History helps you. So the disciplines themselves are not for the content. It's really how they make you think. And that's really important. And single disciplines don't lead to single careers. They should lead to, multiple career options are unfolding for you. The career success itself is not a vertical ladder, right? You could even move laterally across. I showed you in that matrix, you could move from anywhere to anywhere. This is one of the biggest myths, that if you're a techie, it's quite easy. Techies without human skills can find jobs, but they may not be having successful careers. There is a big difference, right? On how machines think and how humans think. So it is not really a choice between humanities or technology or science or societies. It's about understanding man, machine, and environment. And that's a non-negotiable equation for a new age career. I want all of you to go with that. It's not about choosing between three. It's about a very gentle balance of understanding humans, understanding machines, and understanding the environment. Importantly, the world you're entering into, one problem is not going to have one solution. It's going to demand multiple perspectives. So expand your minds, have these multiple perspectives, and access an education that will let you to think in multiple ways, because that's what the new age careers will actually demand of you. I'll stop screen there, and I'm happy to take questions, and I really hope that was helpful.
Thank you, Ms. Anand. I will now request Ms. Arora to share some insights with us.
Ms. Arora, you're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you so much. And in fact, everybody at Kala and Urmi and everybody has explained it so beautifully. I would just like to say one thing to students, that, whenever you are choosing a career, always try to integrate your life journey and the career journey. Many a times people and students just focus on that, which career is safe, and which can give me more money, or which career I will pursue for my whole life. It doesn't happen like that. As Kala has also talked about, you need to have that kind of cognitive flexibility where you can shift. The future will require you to shift careers, not only jobs. So there is a difference between job and career. That's very, very important to understand. And you cannot enter a new world with the old set of skills. So, it's very, very important that when you are going for the higher ed education, you need to see that how the university is preparing you, not only with that education, but also with the skill set, that how to apply that knowledge in the real life situation. So whether they are giving immersive learning experiences to you. So, and also, as she rightly said, when we are moving towards Industry 5.0, it's very important. Gone are the days when people used to say that, what is the role of technology in the human world? But now is the time where we are approaching that, what is the role of human beings in the techno world? So we are looking at the humanizing technology. So it's important to have that broad-based knowledge, so that you're prepared for that multiple career change. It doesn't happen only at the middle age or after middle age, but it is the way of career life now. So I think now students can ask questions. It will be good if we go question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arora. I would now like to open the floor for questions.
According to you, what are the two most integral aspects of a strong application?
So again, I would like to take up this question, Trisha. It depends on which university you're talking about. As far as Kriya is concerned, there are three very, very important aspects of a good application, I will say. First of all, at Kriya, we don't have any prerequisite to apply. So, whether you have got your class 12 results or not, whatever percentage you have got, whatever stream you have, whatever subjects you have, you are most welcome to apply for any kind of major. So as far as application is concerned, there are three important aspects. One is the personal story. As soon as you start with the application, as we have already started with our round one, The deadline is 22nd of November. So as soon as you start the application, it says personal story. Now in this personal story, you basically talk about your life journey, that how have you evolved as a person? And who are you? What are your personality traits besides this application which you are submitting? And then we also look at the holistic, the academic and the non-academic profile. So when I say academic, as here we have students from the entire high school. So academics means grade 9 transcripts to grade 12. So grade 9 students should not think that I will think about my college when I go to 12. Please save your mark sheets with you. So every final score is important. And then when I say non-academic, then it's important that, what you have done as your extracurricular or co-curricular activities. Maybe you have participated in dance, theater, music, debating, MUNs, so all those things, and we need evidence for that. So maybe a certificate, maybe a photograph, maybe a video, whichever, supports your application. And in fact, this is only one first stage. And if you're selected in the first stage, then you move on to the second stage, which we call it as Kriya Immersion Day, where we have a number of group and individual activities, conversation with the professors, a small quantitative and logical reasoning test, where we try to assess you that what are your soft skill set, 4 C's, your creativity, your communication skills, your collaborative skills. So all those things are very, very important.
Could you elaborate on the role of conducting extensive research in high school and its impact on college applications?
Yeah, I think it's very, very important for all of you to understand, because I see that all high school students are just aiming for, making their profile strong by involving themselves into a lot of research. So please never get into a research just for to make your profile strong to get into a university. As far as research is concerned, get into a research only if you truly, honestly, you are interested in, if you really understand what research is all about. And there's no point in getting into, sometimes I see profiles where students say that, oh, I have done 10 research projects. We also know the school system. We know that practically it is not possible to conduct so much of research work. So do authentic work, do honestly, maybe a small research. It's not only research, but these are the other activities also which are very, very important. Even if a university is academically rigorous, as far as Kriya is concerned, we give emphasis on the time and the effort and your persistence in a particular activity. Don't do it just because you want to make your profile strong. So along with research, other extracurricular activities are also equally important.
Thank you, Ms. Anand and Ms. Arora.
I would now request Ms. Manjula Shenoy, Principal Senior School, to share her thoughts with us.
Thank you, Sujata. Firstly, our heartfelt gratitude to all our esteemed panelists. It's been a very informative and enlightening evening. All of you have walked us and our students and parents who have logged in through how important it is not just to choose a subject, but to get into a subject or to choose a subject that you're passionate about. It does not end with just choosing the subjects, but it continues to build on where these choices will lead to, how that then kind of expands and spells out into an undergrad program, and then further into a career choice that you would probably make. So for those in MYP, the career seems a long way off. I would say even for those in DP, the career is still a long way off. What is important for you to also understand from what has come through is the fact that there's nothing that's singular anymore. The whole angle of clusters or cross-disciplinary, that came out towards the end is so very important for you to all understand and take with you, so that you can see the whole aspect of how subjects come together to kind of flesh out into a career choice or a career that you would choose. And frankly speaking, I would say, for you, do you really know what careers would open up by the time you are entering into the platform of the workforce? So, great takeaways in the evening. A lot of whatever has been said blends beautifully with what the IB philosophy is all about too. The whole aspect of interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, concept-based, inquiry-based has been at the focus through the evening and through what each one of our panelists has walked us through. So I would urge our students to hold on to these basic lines which form the essence and the foundation, because this is what will lead you into, this will be your strength, which will then take you into life outside the portals of your school journey. So thank you so much, and over to you, Sujata.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So as rightly said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. I'm sure after listening to our esteemed panelists, our audiences would have gathered some insight into the world of new age careers, and some queries about what the future holds for your ward would have been put to rest. As parents, you can play a pivotal role in the lives of your ward by having a conversation with them. Talking to them about a plan to tackle their goals, their aspirations is very important. So I'm sure the discussions today would help you strike these conversations with them. And I would like to once again thank our esteemed panelists for sharing their thoughts with our parents, our students, and I'm sure they've definitely benefited out of it. I would also like to thank our school director, Ms. Sonia Gandhi Mehta, middle school principal, Ms. Monica Bajaj, for providing us with the opportunity, and Ms. Manjula Shenoy and Ms. Neena Vermani, Head of Careers and College Advisory Team, for her constant support. A very big thank you to Ms. Kavita Govil, Ms. Anamika Bhadula, Ms. Nivedita Parashar, and all the panelists, moderators, and the attendees for sparing their time and joining us this evening. Have a wonderful evening ahead, and thank you so much for joining us.